Welcome, everybody, to the Cancer Education Series. My name is Becky Pospisal, and I'm the Director of Mission Delivery for Above and Beyond Cancer. And I'm standing in tonight as guest host for Dr. Richard Deming. And tonight, we are talking about the transformational journey. And I have two guests with me tonight. I have Lorel Jeffries and Jamie O'Brien, two of our program participants who have been on several transformational journeys. And we just got back from one a week and a half ago. So that's what we're talking about tonight. But before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that the Cancer Education Series is brought to you in part by a grant from the Iowa Oncology Society. So as we get started, this is going to be a fun little conversation about our experiences on the transformational journeys with Above and Beyond Cancer. So let's first do introductions. Laurel, do you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Lorel Jeffries, and I'm originally from Chicago and moved to Iowa in '79 and moved for my job in sales and management. And I did that for about 25 years. And then I retired early to help take care of my mom. She was in Chicago and I went back and forth a lot. 2005, I retired in 2004. And in 2005, I was diagnosed with uterine cancer. And thus began my journey. And I'm now almost 19 years cancer-free.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. Jamie, do you want to go?
Sure. Jamie O'Brien. I actually have lived in Des Moines now for, almost 30 years. I spend my days working for Des Moines Public Schools as a literacy curriculum coordinator. So I spend a lot of time in all the elementary schools across Des Moines. And my cancer journey started in 2016 when I was diagnosed with stage 2 rectal cancer at 45. And that was before the age actually, for screening went to 45. It was still 50 at the time. So it was a big shock.
Wow, that really is.
Yeah.
Tell me about your family, Jamie.
I have a husband, Sean, and I have two boys, Ian and Alec O'Brien. So Ian is 25 and Alec's 22.
Fun fact about Jamie, she jumped out of an airplane for us this summer for Above and Beyond Cancer for our jump event. What did you think about your experience?
I loved the free fall, and I really wasn't scared. I really was excited about it. The free fall was amazing. I was not as big of a fan of when they pulled the cord and, the jerk part of that, but
I understand. Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Okay. I just wasn't expecting it to be quite so violent almost, I guess.
That's probably the right word for it, is violent. Yeah.
It was definitely a shock when they did that, but it was really neat. I mean, I would do it again. Okay. I would probably want to have something different to look at. Like on my way down.
Maybe an ocean or some mountains or something.
Yeah,
okay.
Versus
then not the fields of Knoxville.
No, probably not.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Very good. Laurel, tell us about your family.
My husband, Jeff, we've been married almost 37 years, and we have two children, Janie and Alex. Janie is here in the Des Moines area, and Alex is in Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
Oh, that's a nice place to visit.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Laurel, how did you get involved with Above and Beyond Cancer?
Well, I was involved before it became Above and Beyond Cancer, back in the days when it was the Live Strong program. And my husband and I had a fundraiser, and we had an event at our home, and the big draw was to have Lance Armstrong talk to us via Skype back in the days when we used Skype. And he was a no-show.
Oh,
so we were very disappointed.
Hopefully he's not watching tonight, but that's fine.
And that was probably 2008 or 2009. And then Above and Beyond Cancer started in 2011. Mm-hmm. And I did my first journey with Above and Beyond for Peru in 2014. And that was an amazing journey. It's one of those things where you have no idea what you're in for, and you have all these scary expectations and fears, and then none of it comes true. and it turns out to be even better than what you envisioned.
And Lorel has been on 3 journeys. Is that right?
Been on 3.
Okay.
I did the Rockies in 2019. And then this last one, the Appalachian Trail, Upper Appalachian Trail in just got back a little over a week ago.
Okay, cool. We'll talk about that a little bit more.
Okay.
Jamie, how did you get involved with Above and Beyond Cancer?
My involvement all kind of focuses around Mary Van Hooklam. So our kids went to high school together. Her daughter and my older son are in the same grade, and then her son and my younger son are in the same grade. So we got to know each other on a friend basis through like sitting at kids' sporting events and such. And I was always intrigued by her job and what she did. And, you know, she would share stories and all the journeys and such with me. And then when I was diagnosed in 2016, that was right before they did the 2017 Kilimanjaro trip. So Mary actually then said, you know, I'd like to take a flag for you on this trip. And so she did. And so that was kind of my first introduction with Above and Beyond Cancer. And then from then on out, I just started to participate in more activities and different events that they had to support myself and my family. So
nice.
Yeah.
So beyond the journeys that you've done with Above and Beyond Cancer, what would you say is your favorite program or event with the organization?
Boy.
Put you on the spot.
Right? Yeah, I really enjoyed the total training class. I did that before doing the training for the Kilimanjaro trip too. So that was really my first like class in that like the exercise type class that I participated in. But I've participated in the cooking, and there were some art classes, the Celebrate dinner, which is always wonderful. I think originally was a lunch, if I remember correct.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so that, just
you're a frequent flyer.
I am a frequent flyer. Yes, I am.
We
now.
love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Very cool. What about you, Lorel? Beyond the journeys, what have you done with Above and Beyond Cancer?
I've done some of the cooking classes. I did pole walking, which I really enjoyed, and occasionally still pick up the poles in my neighborhood and walk around. It always is a conversation piece for people saying, what kind of poles are those?
Yeah. In the rough terrains of Iowa, right?
I've done, early on, there was some yoga classes, and I did a couple of the cycling classes, not too often, with Dr. Deming, and so those kinds of things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh,
Okay.
I did the forest bathing class.
Oh, yeah. It's a popular one.
That was fascinating. Yeah, it was
very
interesting.
cool.
Yeah. Just
Well,
thought about that one.
Let's dive into the journeys. Let's
Okay.
talk about those. So, and I don't care who wants to go first, but maybe Lorel, you were probably one of the first in the group of the 3 of us. I've been on one journey. Jamie's been on one. You've been on 3. So let's talk about, pick one of the journeys that you've gone on and just share what that experience was like. Like what did you think was going to happen as opposed to what actually did?
Okay. Well, I guess I would pick Peru because it was my first. And I had been out of the country and traveled quite a bit, but never to that part of the world. And so I know it sounds kind of crazy, but one of the things I was most worried about was where I was going to go to the bathroom.
Well, that's
when
fair.
I was on the mountain, you know, and
we worried about that on the Appalachian Trail also.
Yeah.
I also worried about that.
Yeah.
That's all good.
That's fair. Yeah.
But everything worked out fine.
It always does.
And it wasn't as big of a fear. What it was going to, I mean, you know, we did the same as we did for the Appalachian Trail. We had our training beforehand so that we could get to know our teammates, and that really helps going into the trip, that you know the people that you're going to be hiking with and trekking with. And
did you go to Peru with anybody, or did you go by yourself?
Went by myself for that one.
That's pretty brave, don't you think?
You know, by the time you get through the training, you know everybody, and nobody, you know, really cared who their roommates were going to be. You just, you know, you were just assigned someone, and it was really great. I knew that our tents were going to be put up for us, and I knew we were going to have porters. I did not expect what happened on our AT trip. I didn't know we'd be putting up our own tents,
Well,
but
you
that was a
did
good
great.
experience.
Yeah,
it was a great, it was a good experience. And, but also you really learn a lot about yourself on those types of trips, and you really learn what things you can do, some of the hard things that you can really do and overcome some of those fears that you might have when you're doing a trip like that.
Sure.
And there were scary moments in Peru, crossing bridges
Sure.
and things like that. But it was so exciting. And, the whole group bonded very, very well. And we had a really, really good time.
Cool.
And
Nice.
so most of the fears went right out the window.
Jamie, what about you?
Boy, I would agree with a lot that she had to say about just getting close with the people that you go with. The training ahead of time, although I don't know that anything totally prepares you for it.
And you did Kilimanjaro last year.
I did
Yes.
last year, 2023. Luckily, my husband was able to go with me, so
That's
we
awesome.
went together. I found out I can sleep in a tent without a shower for 7 days with my husband.
That is a test of marriage right there.
Yeah. But just it was amazing to me how close you became with the people that went with you. And that we're still really close.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to a wedding next weekend of somebody, who was in our group. So it just, you can really do hard things. So mental,
Yeah.
not just physical, but being able to mentally push yourself through the times when you really seriously don't think that you can take another step. So it was an amazing opportunity. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a common theme that you hear with
Yeah.
people that go on the journeys is that the group camaraderie is really important. And so for those of you that don't know that are watching from home, we have training that we provide for you through Above and Beyond Cancer to prepare you for your journey. It starts about 4 months before you go. Everybody on the team is invited. And then there's additional opportunities. You can go to the different program options. You get an assessment with Mary, our program director, before and at the end of your journey so you can see your progress. And then I know just with the Appalachian Trail group, we had hiking on the weekends and the groups were getting together even when things weren't scheduled. So let's talk a little bit. You kind of touched a little bit about the friendships that you made. Lorel, you've been on 3, you've been on 1. Let's talk about what it was like to travel in such crazy conditions across the country, across the world, wherever you were going, with people that were virtually strangers several months before you go, and what that looked like while you were on the trip. Do you want to go?
Sure. This particular group, I really think bonded in a way that I had not experienced before. It's not that I didn't have friendships and bond, but we did a lot of things that were outside. We would meet to hike and we'd go to lunch, and it really drew us closer. We had some leaders in our group that really knew how to draw us together, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And then just the caring and the helping hand that everybody gave each other during our journey. It just drew us even closer together. And I think that's going to continue.
Yeah, there's something about that shared experience, right?
Yeah.
When you put not necessarily just cancer survivors and caregivers, but which we all were or are associated with Above and Beyond Cancer, but just people all doing the same hard thing together. And it's something you can really bond over. And I think that's so rare anymore, don't you think, to have those kind of opportunities as we're adults and we're busy with life, and to make time for yourself to do something like this, form those bonds, is not something that you get to do very often anymore, I would say.
No, and we were totally off the grid, at least when we went, right? So no phone, it was wonderful, to be able to not have that. I mean, you used it to take pictures, but there was no service. So you
Something
really
freeing about that.
It was freeing. Yeah. And you really were in the moment with the people that you were there with with all of the people that were supporting us on our hike, as well as just the environment and what was around you. And just I was reflecting and looking through pictures before I came, just to kind of like, take a little walk down memory lane. And I just kept thinking about just the nighttime, like how dark it was, but how beautiful it was, because, living in the city, you don't get to see like truly what night offers sometimes.
I don't
know.
See the stars.
You don't
we
see
don't
the stars on a regular basis, or just the open, like to see like the sunset, but to have it be without anything in front of it, right? Like you just get to see it versus having buildings and all kinds of other things like in the way. So
for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Let's talk about the hiking. I think that's always the scariest part for people, right? I mean, we can only prepare so much in Iowa for hiking, right?
Yep.
We don't have a lot of elevation and we don't have a lot of mountains in
Only
Iowa.
so many times you can go up and down the parking garage stairs, right?
A lot of stairs in the parking lot. Yep. A lot of stairs in your house or a Stairmaster at the gym. So let's talk about if it surprised you, what it was like really just to hike these different terrains. You've had 3 different places. I know we were all surprised by the Appalachian Trail and what the terrain was like, but let's talk about what your experience was like with the physical component of the journey.
Well, the trails in Peru and the trails even in the Rockies were actual trails that wound its way up. But the Appalachian Trail were boulders that wound their way up. And the only way you knew you were sticking on the path where you saw blue lines every once in a while on a tree or on a boulder. And you climbed and climbed and climbed. And there was very rarely were you able to go on a straightaway or even go upwards like on a path. And that was the most shocking to me. And
it was a challenge.
It was very much a challenge. I've never done anything like that. And I did it. We all did it, which was really amazing. Even with injuries, with, leg pulls and broken bones and, somehow we all did it.
Yeah.
And because we not only just wanted to, I mean, that's what we came there for, but in our own innermost need to complete what we were doing. And so, but that was the toughest terrain. It wasn't even altitude that had any effect on us. It was just the relentless climbing of boulders and roots and rocks until we got to the top. And then there were more boulders.
It was all boulders on the top. Yeah.
But very exciting to reach the summit until they said, okay, now we're going back down the exact same way.
We did the Franconian notch. We were supposed to do the full loop, but time was unfortunately not on our side, right? So, and I will say we had quite an age range on this trip. And Jamie, I'll let you talk about Kilimanjaro. We had, I think our youngest participant was 30 and our oldest was 72. So we had quite a range and every single person summited. We call it's Little Haystack, but we could just call it Haystack because there was nothing little about it because it was pretty steep. So quite a range of ages, which I thought was really great. And everybody did that, which was pretty inspiring for sure. Jamie, let's talk about Kili and the terrain and what it was like. You have an altitude issue in Kilimanjaro.
I think, because the very top is like 19,340. Is that right? I think feet.
That's pretty high. Yeah.
It's high. It was really high. Yeah. And I kind of piggybacking off the age, we had 18. So the youngest person in our group was 18 and the oldest I think was 72 also, 71, 72. So a very wide range of people along. And the terrain was crazy. And the temporal zones that we went through, so there were 5 different temporal zones. So when we started, it was rainforest, hot, sticky, humid. And then it quickly became not so much that way as we got closer to the top. But and it was really like lush in the beginning, like you would think of a rainforest.
Interesting.
And then it just became more rocks
Yeah.
as we went up, right? And less green, kind of the same. Yeah, the terrain just really changed throughout. And part of the time we had a real trail, and part of the time we did not either. I know we wouldn't have made it if it weren't for the guides to like knew where to go.
Sure.
In some of those areas. There's no way you could do any I don't think any of these probably without guides and all of the support staff that goes along to help, because
they're great.
Right.
I don't to carry our things and all of it. So, so the terrain, it became a little bit like the second day was more, I don't want to describe this. It was rocky. So it was almost like you were going up a steep riverbed with rocks.
So you guys had base camps that you were going to?
Yes.
It
took us 5.5 days to summit.
Okay.
And a day and a half to come back down. And that partially, was because of the altitude too. So we had to do some up and then back down and then up and then back down a little bit just for that acclimation piece.
Okay.
But yeah, as we got going then, like I said, it became much more rocky. It was almost like then like is it shale, I think? Like kind of loose rock and a few boulders sticking out here and there. And then we came to another part where it was a little more, we did the Bronco wall. So that was just a straight up, that was pretty crazy.
That's amazing.
But once you got to the top, then back down the other side, again, we were back to like more of a normal, like kind of dirt trail that kind of went. Yeah, it was just.
Why can't you go up the other side?
Right. Right. It really changed a lot. And you just, even during the, a day's hike, you would see some different terrain. But once we got to the very top, it was cold and dark. And
so you made it to the summit yourself.
I did make it to the summit. A little behind others, but I made it. Because
that's all right.
You know what? I kept going.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty amazing to get to the very, very top.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah. And we unfortunately didn't have everybody make it, but altitude was a huge part of our trip.
Yeah,
so it wasn't that
a challenge.
People weren't, fit or ready to go on the trip. I mean, it was completely out of their control that their bodies just didn't acclimate and they were just sick from that.
Yeah.
So
I think that's one of the most unpredictable things about altitude is sometimes your body adjusts and sometimes it doesn't, and you don't have a whole lot of control about that.
Right. And we're talking about some people who were like way more physically fit than I was on this journey. And I just felt so bad because again, it was just completely out of their control that their body just wasn't going to cooperate in that moment. So
to shift gears a little bit and to tie the journeys to your own cancer journey, how would you look at the transformational journey and your journey that you did as a survivor and still as a survivor today? How would you compare the two, or how did your survivorship help you accomplish the journey? I'll just let you go from there. Or if you need to think about it, we can pass it over to Jamie.
I just think perseverance and just really trying to always be in the right headspace. Like I said, I think a lot of the cancer journey there was a lot of mental perseverance. I guess that's the word I keep coming back to throughout that, and a lot of mindset. And I think that also was very a big part of the transformational journey. When you just get to that point where you think, I can't do this anymore. You do it. And for different reasons. I mean, I know for me, tried to, when I was going through my treatment, that my boys were in 9th and 11th grade in high school and active in things. And I was determined I wasn't going to miss out on anything. Right. So no matter what, whether it was like being completely inside a sleeping bag at a track meet, or, I did what I needed to do to be able to still be engaged in life, I guess is a good way to put it during that time. And then I think that's the same with, I felt a lot of those same feelings going through the journey when we were, things would get really hard and you had to lean on others, which I had to do during the journey. And sometimes I had to dig a little deeper, and sometimes I had to lean on, different people and for different things. And I think there are a lot of similarities, and I think in both situations, you can really do hard things when you need to do it, and not always pleasant, but you definitely suffered in both situations.
Yeah.
I guess one was by choice and one wasn't.
Yeah, one was voluntary, one was not.
Right.
Yeah.
But it sure makes you feel awful darn good when you're on the other side, I guess.
Absolutely.
So that you can, such an accomplishment, both of them.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. How about you?
Well, for me, when I started out on my cancer journey, I felt very supported. I had a lot of support from friends and family, and then also from the cancer center that I was going to, and from Dr. Deming. But I went through, I worked with the genetic counselors. I kind of wanted to know why, because I knew we had a big history in our family of cancer. I didn't realize just how much of a connection there was on my father's side to my cancer journey. And so once I found out, going through the whole genetic counseling and mapping our families, and then going through testing, that I found just how big a deal this was in our family, and being able to reach out to my own family members and get them checked, get their colonoscopies, and get their the other kinds of testing that needed to be done was really a gift for our family, because we've been able to help prevent cancer and be ahead of it as much as we can.
Yeah.
That is wonderful.
That's awesome.
So I had a lot of support that way. Going on these journeys, like you said, it's you go through the pain of your cancer journey, and then you go through the pain of the transformational journey because of how much hard work it is. It just all somehow fits together. I always believed that I was not going to let cancer take me down. I just, in my own mind, I always felt that I was going to survive this. And so 19 years later and 3 journeys under my belt, that will not be what is going to take me down, so to speak. So
I think that's awesome.
I'm just really proud to be a part of the journeys. I'm really blessed that I've been allowed to be on part of these journeys. And in crazy way, I have felt like cancer was probably one of the best things that happened to me, because I was able to give a gift of genetic counseling to my family, and we never would have known. So I feel blessed in a whole lot of ways.
Wow, that's really great. That is a gift to give. And also the inspiration that you probably have offered your family with your physical ability to do these journeys. They're tough. I mean, they're hard for a reason. There's lots of places you can go hike that are a good time. And I'm not saying this wasn't a good time, but I mean, the element of suffering is important, right? I mean, a challenge, because if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? And cancer, like you said, Jamie, isn't something that you ask for, but you are kind of forced to do it and see your way through. And then I love how you said that maybe it was such a great thing that it offered, because you were able to give that gift to so many people. And I think even your accomplishments with the journey is part of that gift as well. It's pretty great. It's quite a physical accomplishment, especially the Appalachian Trail.
Especially.
We were all surprised about that one.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, it was a
like,
lot. Yeah. That's awesome. Oh, so tell me, from one of your journeys that you've been on, tell me your favorite part. We do a medical mission. We do carry prayer flags. We have a lot of, time together as a team. But what was your favorite thing beyond the hiking that you did with your teams?
Oh gosh, Peru. I go back to Peru again. We went to a cancer center, met with the doctor that runs the cancer center, and he took us on a tour. And I think we were all shocked to learn just how few women can get mammograms because of the waiting, because they have to go to Lima, Peru to get them. We were in Cusco when we were at the cancer center. And then one of my favorite parts, though, was we met with cancer survivors, and these women dressed up in their beautiful clothing. They gave us offerings of food. Potatoes and corn are a huge staple in Peru, and we were treated to wonderful food, incredible stories of survival from some of these people. It was joyous to meet some of these survivors and hear their stories and how they overcame their cancers, but sad also because there's just not enough facilities. There are not enough mammography machines and not enough that help people get their diagnosis in time.
Yeah, that's got to be tough to see. Yeah. What about you, Jamie?
Boy, we also visited a cancer hospital and spent a lot of time with the kids in the hospital. So that was pretty, hit the heart pretty hard. And just the thinking about like how lucky we are here with all of the facilities and resources that we have. And they were grateful for the resources they had. But when you think about comparison of what we have and what they have, it was really hard to see that. But everyone was so excited to just have that interaction with everyone. I would say like along the trip, some of my favorite things just that come to were just the morning that I called it tent service, but everyone was so tired in the morning, but the porters would come around to all of our tents and you could hear the clinking in the glass, and it was coffee or tea, like instant. And so
brought to our tent.
Oh, what service? And they were like, "Good morning, it's time to get up." And I'd be like, "Oh, okay." But it was so nice to just have, it's just something little, but you knew every morning that you were going to get they were always happy to wake you up. And I loved just the meal time. So I loved the hiking and all of that too. But the time that we all sat around a really big table, squished in the blue tent with some of the chairs always at an angle, which side of the table were you going to get to sit on that night. Sure. But that was always wonderful because it really gave us an opportunity to share, highs and lows from the day. It gave us an opportunity to really bond with maybe someone that we weren't walking that closely with that day, but an opportunity to really visit and hear more about people's stories, as well as laugh. I mean, we had some good laughs at the table and celebrate. So I really enjoyed just knowing that for breakfast, we started off there. And then in the evening, no matter how tired we were, people would come in, and the best part would be like, turn off your light, because you were coming in and it was dark and we all had these headlamps on. And it was so blackout. And then you'd get in the tent and you just forgot that you've blinded everybody that you've passed, with when you would walk in there. But
funny.
No, there's so many wonderful memories. But I just think that camaraderie and just switching up people during the day, it just depended on like how you were feeling, how other people were feeling, on who you ended up spending a majority of your time with. There were days that I didn't see my husband all day. And then you think, I was like, that's really, so they're like, well, where's Sean? I'm like, you know what? He stayed back to help somebody. Right. And then I was like, oh, it made me proud and happy, but it was just nice then to be able, then we could even talk about the different experiences we had, even in the same day, but our experiences might've been different. So
it's really cool.
Yeah, it was a really, really those are some amazing memories
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
I
for sure.
get to have. So
I do have to interject that
Yes,
I
please.
also loved our campfires and sitting
Yeah.
around the campfires and laughing and giggling and singing and
Yeah.
lots of great memories.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do have
Blessings
a fun.
by
I do
Dr.
have a
Deming.
fun. Oh yes, the blessings from Dr. Deming for sure.
yes,
I do
will
have
say
a
that
fun
too.
memory from Appalachian Trail when we had a group that summited the Sentinel
Mhm.
Trail.
I know what you're
And we
gonna
had a little
say.
dance party on top
We
of
did.
the
Mhm.
mountain with a song that I unfortunately cannot say the title of, but and we really enjoyed that. There's a
We
lot of
enjoyed
people
that
from
a
Team
lot.
AT that are in the audience tonight that are watching that will love that memory as well. That was really
Yeah.
nice. So it was a great memory, and we're excited to see the pictures from it. So
Celebrate. You got to celebrate.
absolutely, and we
So,
did celebrate that day for
Yeah.
sure. So.
Good.
Did anything surprise you, whether it was coming back or on the trip or what you thought it was going to be like?
Surprised me. I can't think of anything that really surprised me. It always pleased me. It more than anything was the ease, the actual ease of travel. This particular trip, we had no travel issues at all. So
Yeah.
that was so wonderful.
That was great.
Um,
And no weather.
and
Except
the
for the
weather.
last day. It rained the last day, but
Yeah.
that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
We also got really lucky with weather on our trip as well. It was amazing. Although it changed, we didn't run into also like snow or a lot of rain or anything like that. So that definitely made it more pleasant.
Nice.
Yeah. It just was a really
Great
amazing
experience. Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
So would either of you go on another journey in the future?
Well, I've always felt that these trips, the timing is really important. And so I would love to do that Patagonia trip. It just the timing is such that it probably wouldn't happen. I'm never going to say never. I probably asked myself that question each time I did a journey. Am I going to do another
will
one?
I do
Am I
this
going to do
again?
another one? And been fortunate enough to do 3. I feel like maybe I should let other people have the chance. I would love to. It just is timing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I would definitely do another one. It was hard, but it was worth every bit.
Mhm.
And I just feel, you come out with a new family and stronger than when you started. And
Yeah.
I feel really blessed to be able to be a part of the organization and even have those opportunities. I'm just grateful to be able to be a part of it. So,
Is there a place that's on your
Yeah.
bucket list that you want to go to
wow.
or that you'd like Above and Beyond Cancer to go to? Ooh.
I want to do what she did.
You want to do Kilimanjaro?
I would like to
Okay.
do Kilimanjaro.
We've done that
Yeah.
twice. So,
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head,
okay.
but I'm going to be thinking.
Yeah,
now.
think about it. Let me know. Let me know. Oh, very good. Well, both of you mentioned, I think maybe just Lorel mentioned that we do have a transformational journey that's coming up in April in 2025. Our next international trip is to Patagonia, which is in the country of Chile. And we are doing the W Trek of Torres del Paine. And we're really excited because this is a new location for our transformational journeys. So we are fortunate. We are bringing an outfitter from the United States that has a partner in Chile that will be doing the journey with us. So we're super excited about that. If you're interested in learning about that, you can go to our website, aboveandbeyondcancer.org. Up at the top, there's a little banner that says apply for our transformational journey. The applications are open through next week. If you're interested in learning more about that, the full itinerary is on our website. You can also shoot us an email and we'd be happy to share that with you as well if you need more information. I will say this Patagonia will be an interesting trip because you will have to carry your clothing on your back while you're hiking. However, it is not the terrain of the Appalachian Trail or Kilimanjaro. I believe the altitude is going to be much less, but a very popular hike. Tons of videos online if you're interested in learning about that. But we're really excited for a new location and excited to take a new group.
Is it a 5 how many days is the actual hike?
So the actual hike is 5 days of hiking. So we're doing 5 different camp spots in the national park. And then there'll be a couple days on either side of that. It actually takes almost a full day, a little over a full day to get to Chile from Iowa, unfortunately. So it takes a bit to get there, but there will be a couple days on the front end and then a day on the end for travel. So and the dates for that are April 11th through the 19th. And again, the application is on our website and you can apply. There is no fee to apply for the transformational journey. But if you're chosen, then you would get more information after that. So if you're interested, I encourage anybody that's watching to apply. Any plugs for the journeys that you'd like to give anybody that's watching?
Take a chance.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know unless you try.
Yeah,
So
you can do the hard
you
things.
can. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And have fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you'll meet amazing people and have amazing friends like lifelong, that you have just shared this intimate, it really was kind of an intimate
It is,
experience
yeah.
with. So, and yeah, I
Great advice.
encourage people to do it.
Yeah, great advice for sure. Well, we do have an audience with us today. So we are going to open it up for questions. If anybody has questions for our panelists here, for Lorel or for Jamie, or for me, I guess. We have a special.
Hi there.
Hello, Dr. Deming.
Greetings. So you guys are awesome. So I was supposed to be gone today, so thanks for pitch hitting.
You bet.
Great. So you talked about suffering. So there's always suffering on the cancer journey, and we promise you suffering on this journey. And I think you said that you received enough suffering. You
Yes.
didn't ask for money back.
No.
As
lack
you
of
well know.
But we also call these transformational journeys because we believe that it's not just physical, but that mind, body, spirit has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And so we try to incorporate various aspects of meaning, purpose, spirituality, even nature. Do either of you ask you to comment on that aspect of the journey? Did you delve into personally why you're here, what you're here for, your relationship with nature, maybe, on the summit of Machu Picchu or Kilimanjaro, your meaning, purpose, did any of those aspects of the journey come forward to you while you're on the journey or as you reflect afterwards?
For me, when I was in Peru, I felt very much transformed by the spirituality of the trip. I met another gal who shared my religion, and we talked a lot. And it was something that I had pushed away from for many, many years. And just talking with her and hearing about her own feelings about our religion sparked something in me. And being in this most spiritual place of Machu Picchu just kind of brought it home for me. And so I explored my spirituality, my religion, my just feelings of who I am very much after I got back from my trip in Peru. And it in many ways changed me. And I was lucky enough to write about it. I wrote a story about it, and it was published in the Above and Beyond Cancer book of that many people wrote their stories in. And I felt really moved by being able to share some really deep, dark things that came out of that trip to Peru. So it was a very important journey for me.
Wow, thanks for sharing that.
I go back to just being able to have that time uninterrupted, off the grid, pretty much with my husband, and to process. I think for both of us, we just did life to get through that time, and then life just keeps going. And I think it was an opportunity for the two of us to maybe even like have conversations that we might not have had in the busyness of the day-to-day things. So
It's really insightful.
Yeah.
I think even for me, although I went as a staff member, but also my experience from the journey really was the whole time we were on the Appalachian Trail, and every time we hit a beautiful view, I kept thinking about how much my dad and mom would love this. Both my parents are cancer survivors, and my mother is still battling. And, and I shared this with the group too, that they spent a lot of their life waiting for opportunities to travel and do things. And then when they could, my mom got sick. So it was a really good reminder to me to like not wait on those opportunities and wait for the best time, or when I have more money, or when I have more flexibility, or my kids are bigger, or whatever that might be, because if you wait too long, it might pass you by. And I think that was a really interesting lesson for me, as I spend a lot of time on my computer and all of my time on my phone because of my job. And so it was a really great reminder to slow down and enjoy some of the quieter things and take an opportunity before it passes you by. Yeah. Do we have any other questions in the audience?
Well, I have one.
Great.
I used to be a hiker, and during my college years, many years ago, question I have, what did you find more challenging, going hiking up or coming down?
Great question.
for me, it was going up. I think some people struggled more coming down. I think it had to do with their, they were complaining about their knees and things. Luckily for me, that wasn't my problem, but I would say it was just the being able to like keep going on the way up, just because of the incline. It just, sometimes I just didn't know if I could take another step, but I did. So yeah. How about you guys?
Oh gosh, I want to say, even though it was a little bit faster going down than going up, I was challenged by going down a little bit more. You really had to be focused on where you were putting your feet. There were some of these boulders that were so big that you couldn't just step down. And if you could grab a rock or a root or a tree or something and not slam that tree in somebody else's face, which I'm sure that I did. But it was a challenge. I mean, going up certainly had its challenges, but coming down was more of a challenge for me.
For me, it was definitely going up. I don't know if I did a lot of lunges in preparation for the Appalachian Trail, and there was never, I couldn't do enough to prepare for that many steps up. But I was very happy to go down. I was very happy to go down.
Okay, I have another question for you. So a lot of people took a lot of stuff, lots of bags. How many articles of clothing did you not wear that you carried with you there and back again?
One.
Just one.
I used everything.
You're an efficient packer. Must be.
After 3 journeys,
You have it down.
Yeah.
So.
I had it pretty down. But I do have to say, what wasn't efficient was I was constantly losing things in my tent. And that those tents were not that
Like a
big.
black hole.
And I
It's just
still
gone
haven't
forever.
found my earplugs. So they may still be in the tent.
Somebody else will get
So,
that.
yeah, they'll get cleaned out.
Amy, what about you? Things that you took that you didn't need, and was there anything you wished you had that you didn't take?
Ooh. Boy. I actually think I used pretty much everything in my bag. I mean, it was 7 days in the one carry-on. Things I wish I would have taken. One thing I wish I would have done, I guess I don't know if it's so much taken, if that's okay, is I wish I would have done more of like, instead of just like taking pictures, I wish I would have like recorded myself every day or more often, like reflecting on what I was doing or how the day went or something that happened. Or I think, I had the best intentions of journaling every night, but there were some nights I physically just couldn't do that. And that's one thing I really wish, and I know I would do different next time if I go again, or when I go again, I should say, right? Is to really record myself.
Some audio journal.
Yep.
journaling.
Audio, or a video, and then talk, with taking like almost like a little mini movie, versus just still pictures. Because I have wonderful pictures, and we have wonderful pictures Dylan took and video. And I don't know, there's sometimes in those just little moments that I wished I would have had more with the picture.
That's a good idea.
Becky, what about you? Anything you had extra that you didn't need, and anything you wished you would have taken that you didn't?
I came home with one shirt that I didn't wear, and it's because I bought a shirt in Bar Harbor. So I think that evened out. I wish I had brought one more pair of socks because I underestimated how sweaty my feet got. So, and nothing really dried out while we were there. Everything kind of stayed a little damp, which was interesting. So, no, I think I did a pretty good job packing. Okay. I think I did.
Unfortunately, we didn't really need our rain gear. So that's always
just
nice
that last day,
to have.
which
You
was
always
great.
need to have the rain gear with you. What about journaling? Becky, did you do any journaling?
I
And
did.
Laurel, did
I
you?
did. I did most every night.
I wish I would have done more journaling.
Me too.
She was too tired.
There were a couple nights I was lucky to get to my tent.
Yeah.
So I
Totally.
Yeah. I have one video. I actually watched it before I came, of the day that when we got to the camp right before we were for the flag ceremony, before we were summiting. And I had that was probably my moment of, I don't know. And you gave me a big hug when I got to the top and people were waiting. I'm pointing at Dr. Deming. He's sitting there like, but yeah. And I did go back to the tent, and I was laying there, and I just have this video of myself with my camera just laying there. But I listened to it again, and I was just like, that's what I was saying. I wish I would have done more of that.
Yeah.
Like, it took me a minute and a half, but it captured so much emotion and reflection in that short little bit amount of time.
A great
so,
idea.
Yeah. Anyway,
Nice.
it was amazing.
I'm just curious as to how would you charge your phones when such a long trip, and yet would you find a current bush or something like that?
No, I took one of those blocks,
The
that
battery back.
the battery, little backup battery, but I turned everything off on my phone. So except for the camera ability, right, to take video and such. So I really didn't have to charge it. Maybe one night, because you just, when you're not using all the data and the phone and all of those things, it was amazing to me how long it stayed charged. So
I
that's
brought
a
a
great
little.
question.
I brought a little solar charger with me, and I had every intention of putting it on my backpack and hiking each day, and I never did. And then my tent mate, fortunately, let me plug into hers a few times. So, and then when we were on the vans, we were able to plug in. So that was nice too.
Did you have vans like throughout the day, throughout the week?
Nope, just when we went from one campsite to another. So we
Oh,
traveled
okay.
to we had
Gotcha.
3 campsites.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I have another question. You did mention that you do have campfires at night,
We did.
and I think about when I was younger and was working with boys and as a scout leader. And did you guys ever do any skits at night or any really fun things?
Well, we didn't do skits at night, but we did play some, what do you call that? Not charades.
Was
where you,
like a would you rather, or some Q&A type of questions where we all had to answer those.
yeah,
right?
but also we were doing try to figure out what movie
Oh, charades,
or
yeah.
is
We
that
played
charades?
charades,
Okay.
yeah.
We did that one day while we were waiting around, and
we
we
did
played games like that.
we did play hacky sack, but we're all really bad at it. So
Yes.
instead we used our hands instead of our feet, and we were really pretty good. I think we got up to like 18 at one point.
Yeah.
We were pretty proud of ourselves.
And then we had a little competition between our vans, but it turns out the other van
They cheated.
Yeah. They had no idea, and we worked so hard. And
We did.
and we won.
Technically we won because the other team didn't play right. Yeah. We also had a joke night too, where we all told some jokes. Dr. Deming had some pretty good ones. You should ask him about some of his
Well,
jokes.
and I would say, like, we didn't have campfires. At least that I remember. No campfires. No, they cooked for us. And then we went to bed. No, but we did have Micah playing his guitar. And so I would say that that was also really wonderful. In the evening, like just kind of whoever was awake, or if you were in your tent, you could still hear it, and maybe he put you to sleep at night. It was that guitar
Pretty great.
went all the way up and down. So literally the whole trip. So it was wonderful to have that as part of the experience. Thanks, Micah.
I'm wondering about at night, how much sleep do you get? Do you have 8 hours set aside to sleep? And how many roommates do you have? My first thought was I would pack earplugs in case I got with a snorer.
For sure.
But you're probably so tired you can sleep through anything, I'm guessing.
We definitely had, I didn't sleep great on the Appalachian Trail due to other issues, but there wasn't one night I woke up and literally everybody was snoring. Like, because you can hear, a tent's not a wall. It's like a piece of paper basically. So you could hear everybody snoring, which was fine because it's weird. It's two of the campsites we had on the Appalachian Trail were right by a highway too. So the noise from the road was pretty loud, as covered up the sound of.
It became white noise.
It became white noise, yeah, for sure. And definitely, I had earplugs, and everybody did. But we shared a tent with somebody else. So if you go on the trail or the journey with a friend, we'll put you with your friend or your spouse, like we did with Jamie. Otherwise, we pair you up with someone who you think you'll get along with. So I was paired up with somebody that I didn't know. Her name's Lindsay, and now we're great friends and have enjoyed sharing funny hiking reels and memes with each other since the journey has ended. That's been pretty fun for us. So yeah.
And I still haven't found my earplugs.
This is the antenna. Don't cover that.
I think we were so tired at night.
Probably 8 p.m. bedtime and up by 4:30 or 5 probably the next day, I would say.
We weren't up at 4:30. I don't think we got up to like 6-ish.
Okay.
6:30.
We were trying to hit some sunrises on our trip, I think. So,
Gotcha.
yeah. Oh, we got a question over here.
Yeah, you went to different locations. Was there any moments that you just wanted to stay? Or was that a possibility even? I'm not going back right now.
Yeah. For the Appalachian Trail, do you want to answer that maybe for the last trip? Any places that you would have liked to go back to or stay at again?
I would have loved to spend a little bit more time at the Acadia National Forest. So beautiful there. So much to see, and we really didn't get much of a chance to see all that it had to offer. And I loved Bar Harbor. I would like to spend some more nights there. Yeah.
For sure.
I was ready for a shower.
A little different for Jamie.
Yeah.
After 7 days. I would have liked to have stayed longer, I think, in Africa, just retrospectively, I guess. But on the mountain, I would say probably one of I do have a favorite, like in my mind, I see the one campsite that I really just thought was beautiful with just the way that we could see the other peaks coming through the clouds and just is that picture in my mind. I could have sat there longer. Definitely.
Maine is beautiful. I would go back in a minute. It was my first time there. It was probably one of the most beautiful places I've seen. It was just so different than any other part of the U.S. I've been to. And we stayed in Baxter State Park while we were there. It was very remote. There was no cell service, no Wi-Fi, nothing.
It was a beautiful campsite.
No running
there.
water,
Really
but it was
nice.
beautiful.
It was beautiful.
We could really see the stars. So I would definitely go there again, recommend it. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting the sign that it is time to wrap it up. So Jamie, Lorel, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight and sharing your experiences on the journeys. And hopefully you inspired somebody at home who is interested in going or maybe on the fence about going to apply and come to one in the future. We would love to have you. So thank you for joining us for the Cancer Education Series. You can watch our series anytime on our YouTube channel. You can also go to our Facebook page and watch it at any time or on the MercyOne Cancer Center website. And we'll see you next week.